This week's episode of the Gavel Drops is no other than Simon Gates, the man on a mission to change the world of estate agency and change people's mindset when it comes to being an estate agent. So welcome on board, Simon. You okay?
Very good, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Been looking forward to it.
No problem at all. So as you say, looking back at your history, you've been in the industry a long time. Started out as an apprentice, was it? And then scaled right the way through to branch manager?
Yeah, traditional journey. Did work experience in 2007, and then the company never got rid of me. So from work experience in the summer to weekend assistant to junior neg, all the way up the ranks to running my own branch for 5 or so years. When I say it was a traditional route, I am one of very, very, very few who actually always wanted to be an estate agent. Most people fall into it by accident. But it was definitely the career path for me. I knew that from a young age.
From the day you started. And what drawn you into the world as a child?
So initially, my godfather owned the estate agency. He seems to do very well for himself. Nice cars, holidays, houses, kids in private school, etc. But when I look back, it wasn't necessarily a estate agency. That was one of several businesses. I think other ones, which were the ones that were making him perhaps more money. So that originally got me interested in it. And then in the summer of 2007, if you've ever watched Wolf of Wall Street, when Leonardo DiCaprio has his first day on the Wall Street stock floor or whatever they call it, and he was hooked. That was me in the summer of 2007, because I just saw, obviously the market was booming in 2007 before the crash. And I just saw people like they had a phone on either ear. They were driving nice cars. They're going to wine bars. And I was like, I much prefer that to going to college or going to university. I thought that was a bit of me. So that's what kept me there as well. A bit of a rude awakening, though, that halfway through kind of working weekends, you go from having a phone call on either ear to the phone not ringing at all because the market has crashed. But it's a really good learning for me to experience that as a 16, 17-year-old. So when I started full-time in 2009 at 18, I'd seen once in a generation markets all happen within the space of like 18 months.
You've seen the crash, the rise, the crash, and now so your main business at the moment is obviously opening estate agents' eyes to what? More leads, better marketing, general?
Variety. So name of the business, Opening the Gates, obviously a play on my name, and it could be opening the gates to more listings, higher fees, increased market share, more landlords. Depends on exactly what the business wants. It might be opening the gates to more from their database, more from direct mail, more from social media. So I'm leaning on my years of experience as an estate agent and then working in the prop tech world. And I've got an unhealthy obsession for data and numbers. So prop tech world, estate agency, and a passion for numbers, combine that all together to then consult estate agents on the do's and don'ts to grow their business.
Yeah, because I remember seeing you at the Property Success Summit that Sean Newman done, and the data you pulled. I still use that data, the Rightmove data. If something doesn't get any interest in the first week, what's the data of that? What's the chance of it selling?
Yeah, so I mean, the latest data from Rightmove on that is that if you get an inquiry, that's a single inquiry within the first week of marketing compared to not getting one in the first 2 weeks. Sorry, start again. If you get an inquiry on the first day of marketing versus not getting one in the first 2 weeks, you're 22% more likely to sell a property. So if I was sat in your living room now, Ray, and you're the seller, I'm like, okay, we know that if we get an inquiry on day one versus not getting one in the first fortnight, we're 22% more likely to sell your property. What do we think we need to do to get an inquiry to start with on your property? Do you think it's rubbish photos, no floor plan, and a really unrealistic price? Or is it having the best photography, drone, aerial, video, twilight, floor plan, video tour, a board outside? Like, are we actually going to make this property famous or and get that inquiry on day one? Or are we just going to stick it on Rightmove and hope for the best? Because that's why only half the properties that hit the market end up selling. Because a lot of people, the strategy is just stick it on Rightmove and hope for the best.
Do you still think a lot of estate agents still just do that bare minimum compared to what's because now what's available, as you just said, drone videos, floor plans, social media campaigns? do you think in your mind or your insights you've got, do a lot of the estate agents just do the same, bang a few pictures up and stick it on Rightmove still?
Yeah, I think that, and I speak from my own experience because I'm conscious of being this ivory tower these days, not being an agent, but Rightmove has made a lot of estate agents lazy. So if I look back to my first decade in estate agency, particularly first half a dozen years, Ray, you're the branch manager, I'm a negotiator. You walk back into your listing. You walk back into the office with a signed contract and you go, I got a 3-bed semi on the Perts estate, punt it out. Now, if I was to go, Ray, great, who are the owners? Where are they moving to? You go, Simon, I couldn't care less about that. Get on the phone, get me 5 viewings by the end of the day. Whereas now it's kind of like, well, let's stick it on Rightmove. And if the phone doesn't ring, well, the market's a bit rubbish or the price must be an issue. But we're actually not proactively building relationships with buyers like we did many years ago. We're thinking that Rightmove is going to do the work for us, which is one of the reasons why they've been able to charge as much as they do and increase their prices every year.
Yeah, because years ago it was the black book, wasn't it? Or the Rolodex, where you'd have all your details of who was looking and who wasn't looking.
Yeah, you get someone. What's a good example where I am? Lakes Lane in Newport Pagnell is a very popular road, particularly one side of the road where it backs onto Berry Field, which can't be built on. So you've got some lovely views, nice dog walks. You get people who walk into the office 15 years ago and they go, I'm not looking to buy anywhere, but if something ever came up on that side of the road on Lakes Lane, I'd love to know about it. Well, that person wasn't going on my CRM. They're in the black book being like, right, Ray Purchase wants to live on that side of the road. If anything ever comes up, I'm going to be phoning him. Or I would try and put letters through the doors of Lakes Lane saying, I've got someone who's very keen to buy a property on this side of the street. If you ever think of moving, please do give us a call. But I feel like, yeah, we've become more of an order taking business rather than order making business, as cliche as that sounds, in recent years because of the reliance on Rightmove.
That's why it's so popular, isn't it? You can't, because agents, I think a lot of agents just rely on it too much. Do you think a lot of agents have took more to social media in the last couple of years? Because you do see a lot more doing the video, but is that mainly the smaller branches, self-employed branches compared to the corporates, do you think?
Yeah, I was about to say on what you've just said there, it's not as much as what we think, because we are in an echo chamber. So you and I being at the Estate Agent Success Summit, knowing Sean, seeing what Summer and Matt are doing with the Luxury Home Show, right? And Damien Merry's videos and stuff like that. You think that it's everywhere, but actually if you were to go to local town and go, right, let's choose 10 estate agents, the minority will be doing video. It's just when you're in an echo chamber of the top 1%, it feels like everyone's doing it or more people are, but actually it's still not being actioned, which is mad. Like, it's easy to say this, but you look at America and Australia, they're always years ahead when it comes to real estate. And for example, in America, let's use $1 million listing as an example. They were posting coming soons on Twitter like a dozen years ago, being like, I've just been trusted to sell a $10 million listing in Gates Tower. DM me for more information. Yeah, an estate agent now will not do any coming soons or put something on social media. They'll just list it on Rightmove and wait for the phone to ring.
I suppose when you think about it, it is true what you're saying, because we're in it. You see more video content, so you presume all the agents are kind of doing it. What would you say to an agent who's a local agent, one couple of officers who's not doing it? What's the reason why they're not doing it, and why would they do it?
God, interesting question. So I think fixed mindset is one thing. They don't believe it works. I've seen agents who leverage social media massively share screenshots of pictures they've taken of letters that estate agents have sent to their sellers' listings saying, your agent says social media is amazing. It's just a vanity metric. It's there to support their ego. It doesn't actually sell houses. Yeah, I know plenty of estate agents who sell a lot of houses through social media. So I think that's one thing where they're just so blind to it. So there's a fixed mindset. But then I'd also say there's a lot who definitely want to do it, but there's fear of ridicule. So one of the biggest fears we have in this country is something called 𝗨𝗨𝗶𝘀𝗿. Don't get me to say it again, because I can't believe I managed to get that first time round. And it's fear of ridicule from our peers. So a lot of people are scared and nervous of what their friends are going to say about them when they put a video out. My mates, can I swear on this podcast?
Mate, this is free and open to say exactly what you want.
So you know, I say it's quite a lot, but my mates rip the shit out of me when I see them when it comes to social media content, and that's my measure for how my marketing is performing. So if I go for beers with them and no one mentions anything about my social media, I'm not doing enough. If I get them ripping the shit out of me the whole time, I'm like, cool, I'm doing enough marketing here. But I didn't think that at the start. I was no. Is nervous the right word? I'm not sure. I'll say nervous. Like when I first recorded a video and put it out online, I was so rigid and just it felt so unnatural, and it would have taken loads of takes. But I think 𝗆Newman's a great example of this, where he just gets a phone out and hits record, and it doesn't matter if you fluff your lines. That's authentic, and that's what people are looking for. They're not looking for polished all the time. They're looking for a human being on the other side of the screen.
I think it's right. I hate social media. I wouldn't do videos. I know it sounds crazy when you're sitting on a podcast doing a podcast, but I'm the same. I've got a mate who lives in Australia, and he come over this year and he was like, oh, at least I don't have to watch one of your reels this morning, right? And you're like, and it's that thing, isn't it? I think that perception of everyone's, but is it the generation thing of putting yourself out there? I think a lot of, like for me, I'm 45 this year. So we were the back end of social media, but not really social media. It was wasn't our thing. I don't think all my mates are not on social media. A couple of them don't even have a Facebook account. Like, oh, we don't need it. It's kind of that thing, isn't it? Agents go, is it going to work? And what if Bob from Bognor and Regis comments that actually you look stupid or you spelt something wrong? I think that's the concept, isn't it? What people are scared of.
Yeah, I think it's very British to be scared about putting ourselves out there. Whereas, again, to look at America, they'll be really supportive. So what's the example of this? In this country, I would say if you said to someone, I've just gone and spent 50 grand on a wedding, amazing. I've just gone and spent 10 grand on an engagement ring for the wedding, amazing. I've just bought a new car, which costs 50 grand, amazing. I've just bought a new house, amazing. I'm thinking of getting out a loan to start a business. Why would you do that? What a stupid idea. That will never work.
Yeah.
Yeah, in America, amazing. Is there anything I can do to support you? Like, you should be liking, commenting, sharing your friends' businesses. But it's funny, I've actually got one of my friends who, bizarrely enough, is actually now a client of mine indirectly. And he actually says to me, he's like, yeah, I've blocked you on socials, so I just get fed up of seeing your content. But he's now a paying client.
I think that's the key, isn't it? I think it's not like people go, oh, you put a picture up on your wedding, or you put a picture of a new car on Facebook, or what, anything like, or like child can, you know what I mean? It's like I posted a video yesterday of we went to Lapland, me and my wife and my little boy. I'll get loads of likes and comments and stuff like that. But if I post something like informative or something about your business, your friends don't comment and stuff. Friends don't like that type of post, do they? They just don't. It's our culture, the UK people.
A prime example of that, and I love her to bits, but it was me and my girlfriend's, so our 4-year anniversary the other day. And I put up a post of us together saying 4 years, and got a lot more likes from the informative post, but you spend ages, like literally that post was a picture of us. And I think I put 4 years and then a tick emoji, that green tick emoji. Yeah, you put all this thought into like other content. Like I've recently celebrated 250 episodes of my podcast. 3 years since I launched my Facebook group for estate agents. You put out posts like that, and it gets a few likes. And yeah, it's funny. It's funny what people support. But again, I think like my mate would say, well, I'm not I'm not in your line of work, let's say, so why would I like your stuff? And it's like, just support a mate.
Like, or my mate say, yeah, but I'm not selling the house by auction or looking to buy one. And I'm like, yeah, but but someone you may know may be in that position.
So on that one there, so a couple of things on this. I think it's called Dunbar's Law. The average person has 150 people in their sphere of influence. So whilst your mate might not be looking to sell a house at auction, if he likes your post or comments on it or shares it, there could be 150 people in his sphere of influence. Now, on average, 100 people, you're probably going to get, this is where my geeky numbers are coming out, 3% of those are going to move in a year. So out of 150, that's going to be, call it 5 people. There's five people there who are going to move in that sphere of influence. One of them could be an option for auction. And then the other one is 6 degrees of separation. So they say that you're only 6 people removed from the most powerful person in the world. That's an old kind of stat. And they say in 2025, because of the digital world we live in, it's probably more like 5 degrees separated rather than 6.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's getting them to engage. So you've done 250 episodes of your podcast. And because you've spoken to many different people on your podcast, what's the one thing or couple of things that taken away from speaking to all them people in the industry and not in the industry? What would you say? Mindset. If we look at mindset first, what have they mostly all got? The same mindset or a trigger?
I would say the mindset is that they are positively deluded. So they're deluded that what they're doing is going to work no matter what others say. Going back to my point of someone saying don't start a business, that will never work. So say that you're having a positive delusion, and it's just such a boring answer, but being relentlessly consistent. They just consistently keep showing up, which is why my podcast had a relative amount of success, is because it's one of, if not the most consistent podcast going within the industry. It gets released Monday, Thursday, 6 a.m. every single week without fail. And I think that consistency is why I've been able to record so many episodes and get some of the guests I've been able to get as well. So an example of that, and I'll add one on, you said 1 or 2 bits. So positive delusion, consistency, delayed gratification. So I would have sent, not loads, but I would have sent a message, maybe 1 or 2, to Tom Panos saying, would he come on the podcast? Never heard from him. Yet all of a sudden he's speaking on the same stage as me at the Estate Agent Success Summit, and we have a mutual acquaintance, aka Sean Newman. And then all of a sudden, Tom will be a guest on my podcast. And I know Tom has been a guest on this podcast as well. Now, I wouldn't have been able to get Tom as a guest in the first 10, 20, 50, 100 episodes. It took me 200 episodes and 2.5 years of a podcast to get a Tom Panos.
Yeah, because that's the thing, see, and to be fair, obviously we wouldn't have got Tom Panos without Sean and us driving down and doing the Gavel Drops in the conference we last done. But then, more than likely, I was speaking to Sean, and Sean said, yeah, Simon Gates is a brilliant guest to put on. But probably if I just randomly, like what I've done, send you a quick DM on Instagram and you'd have gone, who's Ray from the Gavel Drops? I haven't got a clue who he is. The likelihood is you'd have gone, yeah, I'll come on it, but maybe not right away, if it makes sense.
Yeah, so I think another really good point on that, and relating back to Tom Panos as well, it's not a saying that's unique to me. I believe it's from a good friend and client of mine called James Kendall, and it is, how they meet you is how they treat you. So Tom Panos, we're stood speaking on the same stage at a conference. That's how you're meeting me. So it comes on a conference. I had Josh Fegan on my podcast, again, Australian real estate royalty when it comes to training. We spoke on the same stage at Wembley. I then recorded a podcast with him live at Wembley after we'd both spoken on stage. So I think that once people realise that you're similar, and Daniel Priestley, who, again, Sean will know, and I think Tyler's friends with, Daniel Priestley talks about when you introduce yourself to someone, I'm trying to think of what it is. and it's going to annoy me, but I can't remember now. But it's basically when you first meet someone, you say your name, you tell them who you are and what you do and how you're the same to them and how you can help them. That's roughly the kind of thing. And that's how you try and leave a lasting impression with them. So, again, do you know who 𝘁𝗵𝗶𝘀𝗿 is?
Yeah.
So 𝘁𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗿, What's Your Dream? I had him on my podcast. Now I met him at his book launch for What's Your Dream at the start of 2025. And he said to me, what's your dream? And I was actually recovering from man flu at the time. This is really random. And I just wanted to say hello to him, get my book signed, get a picture and get out there, to be honest. He kind of blindsided me with the question, although I should probably know that's coming considering what he does. And I was just like, such a cringy answer. I was like, I'm living my dream, to be fair. I started a podcast a couple of years ago. I've launched a business off the back of it. Like, if you'd said to me a few years ago I'd be doing that, like, that'd be amazing. He went, oh, good on you. Nice. I think he likes it when people say they've got a dream and they're pursuing it. He doesn't like when people go, I don't have a dream. It's like, well, come on, most people can have a dream. But the follow-up to that was he said in the event at his book launch that he had an interest in a Google Chrome extension. And this is a Google Chrome extension that I recommend estate agents use to find details on LinkedIn. So I followed up and sent a personalized message to his Gmail account and basically said, I was at your book launch. You said that you have an affiliation with XYZ. I'm the guy who said he's living his dream by doing a podcast. Would you be a guest on it? 5 minutes later, he said yes. Now, to your point 2 minutes ago, if I just never turned up to that book event and I just sent him a DM on Instagram where he's got millions of followers and said, would you be a guest on my podcast? That's never getting read, that message.
Yeah. So it's building the rapport without building a rapport till you get to the point of them knowing you to an extent, isn't it? That key. And I think it's people. So now you've done 250 episodes. Now you've got the knowledge of how would you have done it differently, the podcast, or has it?
I don't think anyone's asked me that before. Would I have done anything differently? No, I don't think I would, because my whole thing I say to estate agents that I come into contact with is the classic overused cliche of done beats perfect. My early episodes were absolutely dreadful. I had a list of questions and there was no, we're conversing and then you're not just listening to reply. It's a natural conversation. I can tell that you've done this many times, but I would go, Ray, what's your favorite book? And you go, Atomic Habits. Great. Okay. And what's a podcast you recommend? Great. Okay. It'd just be question after question. I wouldn't go, okay, and what is it about Atomic Habits you like? Or, oh, I really enjoyed when I read it. Da, 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 da.
So it didn't flow at the start, as you would say.
Yeah. It didn't flow as much, but it was done beats perfect. And then over time I got more comfortable with it. And then you get more comfortable with it and it's just the repetitions. What's that again? I love a cliche. Is it Bruce Lee or someone who said, don't be afraid of the person who's done 10,000 kicks once. Be afraid of a person who's done one kick 10,000 times. It's just had that.
I think for me, I've just kind of I just gone in. You just go into it, don't you? And then it takes you where it takes you where you want it to go. Is there any guest that you've not had on that you've wanted to have on? And I know there's obviously loads of people in the world that you'd love to, but I mean, that guest that you think, do you know what, I think they'd be brilliant just to sit down to and have a chat with.
Yes. I was recording an episode of my own podcast earlier today and that question got thrown at me. So I can answer that quicker now because I've had time to think about it. So I've already mentioned Daniel 𝘿'Priestley. He would be brilliant. I started kind of my podcast and my business off the back of his books, Oversubscribed and 𝘂𝗶 of Influence. So Daniel 𝘿'Priestley, Ryan Serhant, because I just think he is the GOAT of real estate. So Ryan Serhant, Rory Sutherland, because I absolutely love that he's just crazy. He's one of the best marketers, I think, in the world. And then someone else, I think his name is James Demolin. But he is School of Hard Knocks, huge on Instagram and TikTok. He's become a millionaire at a very young age from going around and interviewing millionaires and billionaires. And for anyone who's not familiar with him, he had a few, I think, different failed businesses, and he came up with his concept of, why don't we go around interviewing rich people on how they became a millionaire? And that's quite, you could do that in America. They're quite open to it. You go up to someone who looks rich in this country, they'd probably say, piss off, none of your business. But he thought, well, hang on a minute, I can't just rock up on Wall Street in New York and walk into people's offices. That's not going to happen. So he started hanging around outside people's houses or at golf clubs, country clubs, fancy hotels, and just rock up to people and go, what did you do out here in Houston, Texas to become a millionaire? That was his line. And then they'd go, oh, I work in tech. Fantastic. Can I get a quick minute with you for the channel? Now, at the start, there maybe were low-key millionaires he'd have on the channel. Now he's got billionaires who are on the channel. And what he says now, when someone goes, I'm not interested, because they're like billionaires, he'll go, I grew this YouTube channel to the biggest learning platform in the world. I've got 20 million subscribers or whatever the number is. Will you give me a minute quick? There's that social proof there where people are like, wow, okay, yeah, that's something I'll be a part of. So he's kept moving with the times, but that's all like free content. But he uses school.com, the platform. I can't remember the exact number, but when I looked at how many members he got in it and how much he's charging a month, I was like, he's making several $100,000 a month just from that platform. So you see on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, the quick 2-minute interviews with millionaires, billionaires. But if you pay for the platform, it sounds like I'm promoting it now, I should be on some commission. You then log into it, you've then got a full-on like business course from millionaires and billionaires. So very cleverly is giving away all his content for free. But then it's like, okay, well, here's the extra 1%, but you got to pay a bit of money to see it behind the paywall. So he'd be a great guest.
So the plan for 2026 for the podcast, what's the goal?
Well, if I keep churning out the podcast as I am, it will reach 350 episodes. So that's a minimum. It needs to get to 350 episodes. I think we were saying off air, it's very basic at the moment in terms of I just jump on a Zoom call and hit record. I've done a live podcast. I've done a few in person, but I will be looking to release more studio recorded video content for the podcast in 2026. So I'm making myself publicly accountable now by saying that. And I would like to try and get on some really big names. So some of those names I've just said, you know, if I can get one of those on my podcast in 2026, that would be a win as well.
Because I've seen your video the other day. Well, I've seen you do a video the other day of someone asking you what the price of the houses was. And there was 3 prices. What made you think of that? Like, idea? What's the behind it all?
So in the UK, I'd say there's 3 things we love in the UK. We love property market, the weather, and we love quizzes. Like every Christmas, there'll be a countdown to the #1 Christmas song or the #1 Christmas film or what was the funniest TV moment of the year. And it's a bit of a icebreaker I do when I go to see estate agents. There's a website called 𝗵𝗵𝗄𝗏.fun. And it's a bit like Wordle for property prices. So every day there's pins in the map that reloads. You click a pin in the map on this website and it will give you a few images of a property, a floor plan if it's got one, and where it is. So you might choose Birmingham and then Glasgow, Milton Keynes, whatever. And you have to guess the price and it will tell you how close you got. So when I teamed up with Digital Sparks, a shout out to them for doing the video content, one of the ideas I had was, why don't we record me playing the game? But it was a lot harder doing it when they've just put a property in front of me and said, here's 3 different prices. Yeah, it was a lot harder when you got a video camera in front of you recording it.
I think when I was looking at it, I remember watching the video and I was like, well, he's got to know the price, because, like, you know what I mean, and you'd automatically think, because you're in the industry, oh well, he's gonna knock the prices out the park. But it is all over the country, isn't it?
Yeah, so some of them really hard when you've just got a front shot and you don't know how big it is, and it might be a location that you've never heard of. So I think pretty good with my geography. So I might recognise a name of a place and go, oh, that's Wales or that's Scotland, that might have an impact, or oh, that might be in London. But sometimes you're like, I have no idea if that's in Yorkshire or if it's in Devon, which could impact massively on the price. So yeah, it's a bit of a guessing game. The way they did it cleverly as well is they might try and throw you out with a random number as well, which makes it more difficult. But I think it made for good watching, because if I just got every single one right, it'd be boring. You wouldn't come back and watch it again. So
well, I think the one I watched was you said, I think there's a pool in the back garden. So I don't know whether the pool's worth, I think it was like 1.5 off the top of my head, or 1.75. And I remember you saying, wait there, let me have a look. I think there's a pool in the back garden. So it's got to be higher, because not many people have got a pool in the garden.
Yeah.
So if I was an estate agent, standard estate agent now in the UK, doing okay, but not where you should be, what would be the one thing, if I was doing everything a little bit, but not fully into anything, what would you say would be the best thing for an estate agent to change to kind of propel their business, even just that bit more?
Great question. I'm going to steal some of your questions for my own podcast, Ray. There's so many different answers going through my mind. I think what I would say, where my brain has first gone to with that, is that if they're doing okay, would be write down where your listings are coming from and why the seller chooses you, and then make sure that you double down on that. Because what I find is estate agents find something that works, and then I don't know, it's shiny penny syndrome. They kind of do a bit of it and then they get bored and move on to something else. It goes back to that consistency piece. So the way to look at it is, okay, what's something I need to do more of? What's something I need to do less of? What's something I need to stop completely? And what's something I need to start? So those 4 different things there. Hopefully I've got the right way around. So for example, if you go, right, my last 10 listings all came from recommendations and referrals. Okay, Ray, how many recommendations and referrals do you ask for every day? I don't ask for any. So you've just got your last 10 listings from referrals, yet you don't ask for it. Imagine how many you get if you actually ask people for business. So if that was the answer, I'd go, right, now we'll go ring through all the people who've bought and sold a property through you and say, hey, Ray, who's one person you know who's contemplating a move in 2026 and I need to be helping? That's something that I would say.
Perfect. So it's kind of drilling down on what actually is making you the money and getting the listings in and just concentrating on that rather than skipping between things. I think it's because you track data, don't you? You're data driven. So most estate agents won't track the data. They won't even know where the valuations come from, their average sales come from. They probably don't track the data.
Yeah, most don't. So to give you an example, the estate agency office I was running, the classic 80-20 Pareto principle, Pareto law, 80% of my business came from 20% of the area I covered. So I worked in 𝗵𝗵𝗀, a small market town, and I was landlocked by other offices within the business. So I can't remember exactly, but 20 different locations I could operate in, which sounds loads, but it was basically a town and then a few villages and a few housing estates, let's say. And I knew that, like I said, 80% of my business was coming from 20% of that area. So that's where I made sure I spent all of my time. So I dominated 𝗵𝗵𝗀 and probably 5 or 6 other locations. They were Hanslope, Hartwell, Cranfield, Great Linford, Gifford Park off the top of my head. Now, there were areas such as Brooklands, which is a newer build development. The people who are from Milton Keynes will be loving this now, all these places I'm naming. I don't think I ever sold a property in Brooklands. And part of me was like, I need to go do business in Brooklands, Brooklands. And then actually it's like, why don't you make sure you're doing as much as you possibly can in the areas you're already dominating? So that was one thing. And the 80-20 principle works as well for the price points as well. So there was, I'd say, between 500 grand and £1 million. That was probably a little bit less, actually, probably more like 400 to 1 million. 400 to 1 million was my sweet spot. So I didn't actually go and chase too much business below 400 and didn't chase much business above 1 million because we weren't the right sort of agent for properties below 400 and above £1 million. There wasn't that much turnover in my area. So yeah, knowing where the business is and going after that. I mean, just to quickly, whilst I'm rambling, if I just reel off some numbers, and hopefully you're going to help me with this, what percentage of sales in this country, whether it's through the auction company or other alternatives, what percentage of properties that transact are through an auction, would you say? Is there a number on that?
It used to be 3%. It's gone up, but it's only 5% in this country.
Okay, so if we say 5% now, so I'm just going to reel off some numbers. So 5% is auction, 5% is probate.
Yeah.
Just under, I'm going to call it 10% is landlords re-entering the market. We've then got landlords exiting the market, depending on where you are in the country, is 15%. And that takes us to 35%. Around 10% are new builds. So that takes us to 45%. So 45% of all transactions are auction, probate, landlords entering, landlords exiting, and new build.
A new build.
So if I was an estate agent listening to this, I'd be saying, do you do landlord purchases, landlord exit, auction, probate, new build? And if they answer no to that, it's like, well, you're only working with 55% of your market. Because the other 55% will be upsize, downsize, relocation, divorce, debt, etc. But that 45% I've just reeled off, that's me looking at loads of data. I mean, it's back for fag packet calculations that I've just done, but easily around 45% of the market will be those areas I've just covered off. And auction, preached and converted here. More agents need to offer auction as an alternative for sellers. Probate, sadly, people are always going to pass away, and there are ways to go and target probate properties. Landlords are exiting the market with all the tax, regulation, legislation, interest rates. However, there are plenty of landlords entering the market under portfolio and company names, and new builds will continue to be built. And there's ways to go and like target those. A good example, a technique or strategy I give to estate agents is, do you bookmark, save, or favorite your planning portal? And then at the start of every week, and there's tech you can use for this, but this is free, go onto your local planning portal and just look at what planning applications have gone in. Because I could go do that now, and I'm very confident there'll be someone who's putting for planning for a new build somewhere in Milton Keynes. Oh, right, it's got the owner of the company's name on that planning application. Oh, look, I've just found their website. Oh, look, I've just found them on LinkedIn. Hey, Ray, I'm not sure if it's for you, but would you like me to give you some tips and pointers on the do's and don'ts of how to get the most valuable and saleable property built in 2026 in Milton Keynes?
Yeah, I used to use it along with Land Insight when we were sourcing land many years ago. Yeah, there was it, and it's because it's there, all the information's there. So from a consumer mindset, because obviously, like as in just a standard seller, what would you say 3 key data points on if they're on the market now as a seller on Rightmove, they've got an agent, what's the data as? Because it shocked me the data you give out that one, if you don't get any interest in the first day, or like if it runs with 2 weeks, 8 weeks, and it's still, what's that data of the likelihood of it not selling compared to what it would sell if you're just a straightforward average seller on the market at the moment in the UK?
Number one I would have said on stage the day you saw me speak is the importance of price points, because too many sellers think that they're selling a car, not a house. It's don't do a 99p psychology. It doesn't make it look or sound cheaper. So being on a correct price point, go at 400, not 405 to leave yourself a bit of meat on the bone to negotiate, or 399,995 to make it cheaper. 400 on the nose. And the reason to do that is that you appear in 2 different price points and you get 11% more eyeballs on your property. So Ray, you're the seller, I'm the agent. Ray, would you like 11% more eyeballs on your property? Yes, you would. Right, that's what I'm telling you. You should market it at 400,000. And the stage need to do a better job of controlling and leading that conversation, and not just going, okay, I'll just do what the seller wants me to. So being on a correct price point is one. The second one is the importance of pricing correctly from the outset, because it is proven that properties that have been price reduced, aka say damaged goods on them as far as a buyer is concerned, why has no one else bought it? What's wrong with it? Price reduced properties are less likely to sell. And if they do sell, will take 3 times as long, twice as likely to fall through, twice as likely to have to change estate agents. So if Ray's looking to sell his house right now, would you like it to be less likely to sell? Would you like it to take longer? Would you like it to be more likely to fall through? Would you like to have to change estate agents? No, not really. okay, let's follow what the comps are telling us and go over correct price from the outset. Because usually when you test the price, you're actually testing patience of the market. And then the last point I would make is probably only a few months old now, this stat, but I wouldn't have shared on the day. 85.5% of sales that happen in the first 12 weeks of marketing. So you only have a 14.5% chance of selling a property once it's been on for 12 weeks or more, because the estate agent forgets about it. They forgot they even had it on the books. The seller's kind of lost motivation. Buyer also thinks, what's wrong with it? Why did no one else buy it? Now, what's really interesting is that if that property comes off the market and resets its digital footprint, so re-enters the market at a new listing date, its chances go from 14.5% to 42%. So it 3x's its chances of selling just by removing the date it listed and doing a new date, because the new alerts will go out. Buyers will look at it like it's something new. So yeah, be on the correct price point. Be understanding of the issues around price reductions and how negative that can be, and the importance of your chances of selling are a lot higher the earlier on the marketing. And if you are on for 12 weeks, you might as well just take it off, give it a rest and start again.
Start again. So we'll just finish off because we know we're nearly done, but I'll do a quick fire round just to finish off. So, best piece of advice you've ever been given?
It was on my first day of work experience, and I asked for it. I said, what's the best piece of advice you can give me? And the lady, Susan, who I still know very well, good family friend, she said, always be honest. And I thought that was terrible advice that she gave me at the time. So I was like, surely you could give me some better pearls of wisdom. But when you go back to what I said earlier about the veracity index and how distrusted, is that a word? Distrusted estate agents are. Yeah. I can see why she said that. And I think she might have followed it up with something along the lines of, always tell the truth, because you then don't ever need to remember what you said.
That's a true fact, that, to be fair. Your guilty pleasure after a long day?
Guilty pleasure after a long day. I love that. Oh God, I've got to steal that for my podcast as well, Ray. I'm not making this quick fire for you. Guilty pleasure. What is my guilty pleasure? I like to watch the estate agent reality TV shows. I don't know if that's a guilty pleasure, really. I'll flip it. What's a guilty pleasure is my missus will have one of her reality TV shows on, which is like Housewives of Orange County or whatever it's called. And I'll be on my phone. I don't know if you do this, but you'll say that you're not interested in something, but then you'll be like, wait, what happened there? So maybe my guilty pleasure is maybe slightly listening into the TV that my missus is watching when I'm on my phone catching up on socials or something.
That you say. I remember years ago being in a pub with a few of the lads and the football was on. And in between the football, half time, one of the lads was like, hey, have you seen thing on Love Island? I couldn't believe he done that. And I said, we were chatting away, the 3-4 of us. And the missus was like, do you hear yourselves? Like, you're all sitting there in half time talking about Love Island like it's something that you should be talking about. We haven't even mentioned it. But I think that is a guilty pleasure. Ready? What song instantly puts you in a good mood?
Again, great question. There's something I could share on that, but it will ruin some content coming out. Stargazing by Miles Smith.
Stargazing by Miles Smith.
Yeah, so
that's a good one.
Yeah, really good one. He's gone from playing in pubs playing above a pub in Luton for, I don't know, £5 entry, to being on stage at Wembley with Ed Sheeran. And I went to see him earlier this year, and I did a bit of a road trip around the Rockies in Canada last year, and Miles Smith was like the soundtrack, particularly Stargazing. So yeah, Miles Smith, Stargazing.
Coffee order of choice, if it is coffee?
Flat white, half a sugar.
Favourite chocolate bar?
Mars bar.
Right. Favourite place you've been so far?
Anywhere? I would actually say, and I wouldn't have said this 2 years ago, Canada. So yeah, going over there and doing the Rockies, seeing the lakes over there, it's the most picturesque place I've ever been in the world.
And destination of choice, next destination, or where you'd want to go on your bucket list?
Can this be holiday or just general experience?
Anything, general experience, anything.
Where do I want to go? I'm going to say I would love to go to Australia and watch a Boxing Day Ashes test at the MCG.
Sounds good. Perfect. Well, I'll end that. It's been a quick, good one. Many things covered. But today, there's Simon Gates' episode of the Gavel Drops is complete. And seems like you're not in the studio, I'll do it for you.
Cheers, Ray.